The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Milts freaking today, militiamen. My name is King Prime. Welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another brand new Transformers Studio Series 86 action figure, that being the Transformers Studio Series 86 Deluxe Class. Bumblebee, yes, the little yellow menace, has gotten his 90,000th figure, and now we can see if this one is the best one or if it's not. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, let's take a look at what he comes in. Of course, we do have a picture of Bumblebee looking uncharacteristically pissed, but I guess this is the movie where they allow him to say shit, so he's allowed to be angry. 8629, 29th figure in the line, of course. Studio Series, his name is Bumblebee. He's an Autobot Hasbro logo and a big red Transformers logo there up at the side. Takara Tomy and Generations traits, as well as the Transformers the movie on the front and on the top of the box. On the left side of the box, we do have the 8629 again, 29th figure, as well as the Studio Series logo and that mugshot of Bumblebee still looking extremely pissed. He's a deluxe class figure. On the other side, we have the slipcover 86 with the same picture of Bumblebee, as well as the authentic stamp. On the back, we do have the big screen inspired in-depths of Unicron descriptors there, as well as the picture of the figure in robot and vehicle mode, 23 steps to convert. Tiny little bio right there, as well as some legal jargon and some more legal jargon. But of course, being a 86 figure, Bumblebee does of course come with a figure stand or a display stand. It's of the depths of Unicron, as it said in the box, but for whatever reason I thought that this would come with a Moonbase 1 backdrop. It didn't. Of course, you have the stage there, Transformers, authentic stamp, big Transformers. You get the gist of it at this point, because I say it in every single video, my friends, but you only really care about the packaging if you are a boxed or carded collector, which I am not. I'm here to open and review toys, and that is just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame.
We gotta contact Prime right away, because it looks like Megatron and a whole undersea city are heading for Washington, D.C.
Freeze frame, unfreeze, and here is Bumblebee out of the packaging. Before we take a look at him, let's take a look at what he comes with. His sole accessory is just a silver pistol. Pretty bog standard at this point. This is pretty much exactly the same one that came with Ratchet, just on a smaller scale. It is painted silver, it's casted in black, has a little tab there, which can, of course, plug onto the backpack like that. It hangs out there, or, of course, he can hold it like so. Putting his hand in, there you go. Bumblebee is ready to say shit. But moving on to Bumblebee himself, he is a chipper and, of course, rather spitting image of his G1 self. He is a tiny little man. I mean, he's really small, but getting in close on his head, his eyes are picked out in that very G1 reminiscent teal blue paint, and his face is picked out in silver. Looks very cute and cuddly, as Bumblebee did in G1. Of course, he has his horns as well, going down to the rest of his body, his arms and legs, and unfortunately, his chest is cast in black plastic. His chest being cast in black plastic isn't the problem, but it kind of is. I wish it would have been casted in yellow and then the windows painted black, because as you can tell, there's a very clear color discrimination between those two, and even the plastic used for the regular body. Going down, of course, the VW hood is just right there on his feet, which is very funny. He does, as mentioned earlier, have a backpack, which is at this point to be expected. If they could make this magically vanish and have it be flat like the G1 cartoon, that would be black magic, but as of right now, that's pretty much as good as it's going to get. Moving on to the articulation, Bumblebee does have a ball joint at the head. It's very limited, though, because of how kind of blocky and smushed his neck is and how wide his shoulders are, or the top of his torso is. So he does have the range, he just can't really do much with it. He does have a full range of motion at the shoulders, however, because they are on ball joints, so you can get pretty much any kind of pose you want to at his shoulder.
There's also a slight butterfly due to transformation, but I forgot to mention it.
He has a bicep swivel, as well as a knee bend, as well as an elbow bend, which has a little strange cutout here to allow the clearance to do that. Don't know why. They could have very easily negated that and just engineered it differently, but, well, you know, go off, I guess. He has a wrist swivel, which is very nice to see for a figure of this size. He has a swivel at the waist, so you can go all the way around, as well as a pin and hinge joint at the hips, so you can get a kick about that far forward, about that far back, and all the way out. He does also have a thigh swivel, which is awesome to see, as well as a knee bend, which can go a little bit less than 90, and then also forward, so you can like break his knee, which is bad, but also just for transformation. He has an ankle pivot, however, it's kind of like a shin pivot, which is, again, strange, but because of how massive his feet are, it does kind of make sense.
He also has a slight toe up and down, but it's just a little bit hindered by the way the foot transforms.
To bring in some comparisons to see how Bumblebee stacks up to some others, here is Bumblebee next to our previous Transformers review, Legacy United Gears. Here he is next to a little Lego minifigure such as Luke Skywalker. And here he is next to our old friend Classics 06 Optimus Prime. As you can see, yeah, not even close. To bring in an additional comparison, here is Bumblebee next to his Netflix self. As you can see, one of these is not like the other, which I unfortunately got only a few weeks before this figure's announcement. If I would have known that, would I have gotten this one? Yeah, probably, because I think it still has its merits. However, I'll talk about that more later on. For now, let's move on to the transformation so I can show you exactly how Bumblebee works. Freeze frame.
I woke up in the fresh as hell on a Monday. I can't go to hell, I want to church now.
Freeze frame unfreeze. Bumblebee is one of, if not the most simple transformation we've ever had on this channel. Ironically, only probably outranked by our previous review, Gears. To start it, however, the first thing you're going to want to do is start untabbing the backpack so that this little arm assembly that Bumblebee's head is on can kind of get out of the way and start moving like this. Next, flip up his chest and flip in his head, like so. Don't ask me how long it took to figure out that this panel opens. And get this back piece, this arm out of the way. The tires for the alt mode are just kind of stored inside of this chest cavity. Swing those out and around, and then what you're going to want to do is, much like on the Netflix release, bend the arms down 90 degrees and then fold them in 90 degrees. Just like that, and then as you can see, there's a tab right there on the inside of the arm, a slot on the other arm. Put those together, and that'll hold there pretty well. Next, as you can see, there's a pin that holds on the waist piece. Just fold that in, like so, until it sets flush. Fold up the legs like that, and then come around to the feet. As you can see on the bottom, there are these heads that are kind of on the bottom of Bumblebee's feet. They're kind of detailed, but they don't really serve any purpose other than stabilization of the figure, which is good. All you're going to do to transform them, however, is open the back panels, which are the long panels, and fold open what will become the doors to the vehicle mode. Fold up the heel spurs or the back pads, whatever the hell you want to call them. As you can see, there's a tab on the inside of the door. There's a hole on the pad. Plug that in. Plug that in. Then you're going to want to fold in the front of the pads like that. They'll just go into the groove built into there. And then what you're going to do is take it and swing it up like so. As you do that, and it's already doing it for me on this leg, but on this leg it's being a little bit tight, is at the knee, fold it forward like you're breaking his leg, while also swinging in this part right up below the ankle so that it sits flush. As you can see, there's two false panels that will flip out, one purely yellow, one with an Autobot symbol, and then fold that up into place. Clip together the front halves of the vehicle mode and kind of push everything all together. It should line up pretty simply. There are, as you can see, little tabs right in here that will plug in and keep the door section in place. And then finally, as you can see, the back section of the vehicle is just folded up here. Fold that down and in. Make sure that all the tabs that you can see sticking out get lined up with something so that the vehicle mode can be completed, like so. That is Bumblebee in his vehicle mode, and as you can see, it is very tiny, definitely more reminiscent of the original G1 toy than, say, the Netflix release. Which, speaking of, to bring in some comparisons to show Bumblebee. Next to, here is our previous Transformers review, Legacy Gears. Here he is next to the aforementioned Netflix Bumblebee. Here he is next to Luke Skywalker. And here he is next to Optimus Prime, as you can see. Prime is, like, you could hide all of them behind Prime. And then Bumblebee is just a tiny little man. Let me move Prime out here just to show off the two Bumblebees real quick. As you can see, one of these is definitely a real-world inspired design, and one of these isn't. When it comes to these figures, I kind of prefer the real-world design. However, I cannot deny the absolute genius of this vehicle mode. It was kind of a strange transition, but because it is all-in-one, unlike the Netflix release, and sturdier, unlike the Netflix release, it has definitely won some of my affection, and it's kind of put me onto this side. Now I can only imagine when the Cliffjumper release is going to be. Of course, as mentioned earlier, you can store the weapon on Bumblebee's vehicle mode by just tabbing it into the back of the vehicle there, and it'll just hide away like that, and that is pretty much it. But before I give too much away about how I feel about this figure, let's move on to my final thoughts so I can tell you exactly what I think about Bumblebee freeze frame.
Megatron! Decepticons! Die,
Freeze frame on freeze. So overall, I do really like this Bumblebee figure. That is not to say I am not conflicted as to whether or not I like the Netflix version more. I'm sure everybody knows that there is extremely mixed feelings on the Earthrise Cliffjumper mold, which of course Bumblebee is a retool. And when I say Bumblebee, I mean this Bumblebee is a retool of. It's all parts former, it's fiddly, it's backwards, it's whatever. I've heard it all, and I was able to look past it for the most part. Now that I'm seeing what the alternative is, and what we could have had for the last, 5 years it's been since that mold came out, I'm realizing that there are greener pastures, and this figure is absolutely a example of that. I do not love this thing. I think it's weird as hell. I don't like the way the feet work, despite the fact that they work just fine. I think his face is just a little bit too much in the uncanny valley. Bumblebee was always much more of a chipper character, and he looks like really sad here, which is strange. And the vehicle mode is just a little bit too departed from the VW Beetle for its own good. Those aren't really big complaints. It's just things that I noticed and prefer and also don't prefer. That is not to detract from this figure at all. This is a fantastically engineered figure, and for a Transformer, that is one of the most, if not the most important thing. I would highly recommend this figure to any Bumblebee fan, for any G1 fan, for any Transformers fan, and considering I've been seeing this in multiple different stores, I think that this is going to be one of the more available Studio Series 86 figures, but that will remain to be seen. As of right now, this is the definitive Bumblebee figure in the G1 style, and I'm very happy to be an owner of it. But if you like Bumblebee, or you like Transformers, or you like Transformers G1, The Transformers the movie, make sure you share this video with your friends, share it with Facebook groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Keeps helping the channel grow, keeps helping me pump out this content. That's going to be pretty much it for this time, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.